First of all, I would like to congratulate Crowdera for organizing this event and for recognizing some amazing work which has happened over the last year or so, particularly in the social development area. And I know that some of you will be receiving awards, so congratulations to all of you. I would like to expand on some of the points which my colleague Divya Garu mentioned. She spoke about the amazing results that women's self-help groups mobilized through SERP, the Society for Elimination of Rural Poverty, has achieved, and it is really phenomenal.
20,000 crores.
20,000 crores and so on and so forth. So I was there when it all began, way back in the year 2000. When I'll just tell one story and you can derive your own meaning from that story. So the mandate, when this project started in the year 2000, the mandate given by the World Bank was, and it was also agreed upon by the senior officers and the Chief Minister of the state when this project was started, that this project will focus, at least for the first few years, only on the poorest of the poor. See, as all of us know, there are poor people all around us. But poor people are not the same. It's not a homogeneous category. There are poor, there are average kind of people. And then there are people who are literally at the bottom of the pyramid, the poorest of the poor. And another decision which was taken was that it will also take place in some of the most backward parts of the state. At that time, it was the combined state of Andhra Pradesh. So I, for example, worked in Chittoor district, where the most backward parts are drought-prone areas of Pileru, Tambalpalli, Madanpalli, etc. My colleague worked in Mahbub Nagar. Another colleagues, two colleagues worked in one more colleague worked in Anantapur. One colleague worked in the tribal areas of Adilabad, one in Srikakulam. So we had 5 locations where this project started. So I share my experience. So I was already working in that district. So I had familiarity with that district. I knew which mandals within the mandal, which habitations are very, very difficult, very challenging. So, but like any other program where you have to understand what the people require, what the community requires, we decided to first visit some villages where the poorest of the poor live. And because I was working in that district and I had implemented the watershed program, I had some familiarity with the people. So we went to some places. And one of the questions which we would ask was that, what do you think of the government? We would ask so many questions. One question that we would ask was, what do you think of the government? So what do you think would the answer be? And they are talking English, or shall I switch over to Telugu? No. అంటే ప్రతి గ్రామంలో మేము సాధారణంగా ఒక ఆన్వైటీగా ఒక ప్రశ్న అడిగేవాళ్ళు, మీ ఉద్దేశంలో ప్రభుత్వం ఏం చేస్తుంది, ప్రభుత్వం మీద మీ అభిప్రాయం ఏముంది? సో ఎట్లాంటి జవాబులు వచ్చేవి మీరు ఎవరైనా చెప్పగలుగుతారు, ఊహించుకోగలుగుతారు? సో దట్ ఈస్ వన్ ఆన్సర్, డిస్కనెక్ట్ బిట్వీన్ పీపుల్ అండ్ ద గవర్నమెంట్. ఇంకా ఎవరైనా చెప్పగలరా? ప్రభుత్వం గురించి వాళ్ళు ఏమనేవారు? Unapproachable. They are unapproachable. Then what else?
Sir, they hesitate mostly because they think whether I am right person to talk to them. So that gap is there.
Yeah, the gap, the disconnect. Yeah, they are not accessible to us. ఐదు సంవత్సరాలకి ఒకసారి కనపడతారు, తర్వాత మాయమైపోతారు. So see, all of you are giving very polite answers. The real answers which they gave was that the government is full of thieves. They are full of dacoits. I mean, Hindi lo antaru andaru chor, sab log chor hain. That is what they wrote. Sab chor hain. I mean, you are saying unapproachable, disconnect. They did not use these words. Andaru dongalu, andaru dacoits, atlanti cheptaru. But it's not very difficult to see where this answer comes from. I mean, why don't they think that the government is chor, the government is dacoit? Where is this answer coming? So in those days, I mean, things have changed a bit, but in those days, the face of the government amongst the community was a functionary called the Village Administrative Officer, VAO. And at least in Chittoor district, I'm sure it was true in all the other parts of the state also. So in Chittoor district, if you want to see who the VO is, first of all, the VO, though his designation is village administrative officer, he will never be found in the village. He will be living in the nearest mandal headquarter or town. Typically, as soon as he would become a VO, he will buy a motorcycle or a scooter. So in the village, if you hear some motorcycle sound, someone is racing his motorcycle, you can make out that VO is coming. Like in movies, someone makes a guest appearance, or the entry shot of the hero is shown, he's driving in some fancy bike or something. So that is how the VO will appear. And most of the times when he will come to the VO, he will only be talking to the zamindars, the rich people. And what he is talking to them also will be shrouded in secrecy. They will be in some closed room. The impression outside will be, Tapu Vastandi, Sagamidi, Sagamnadi, Ade Dapu, Panchkoda Vishyale Anta Matladta Untaru, Lena Dena Kaise Hoga, how much should I give to you, how much should I keep with me? That is all will the discussion be. And on the rare situations when they have to actually go to the poor people or the poorest of the poor people, they will go to them with utmost insensitivity. A form ఉంది వెంటనే వేలుముద్ర పెట్టు వెళ్ళిపోవాలి 4 అవుతుంది టైం అయిపోయింది. He won't even talk to them for 1 minute with decency to understand what is happening, what is their troubles, what are their pain points. So poorest of the poor may be uneducated, they might not have gone to schools or colleges, but they are not fools. They are seeing this for generations, and therefore they feel that the government is nothing but thieves and the government is nothing but dacoits. So we decided that it's such an important project, we have been handpicked to show results, and if we run this project with the existing government machinery, we will not reach anywhere. And all of us were too kind of proud about our own capabilities, about our own accomplishments, that we felt that we have to deliver perfect results for the government, for the World Bank. So let us keep the government machinery out. Then the second question was, fine, we are keeping the government machinery out. Whom do I then run the project with? Then the obvious answer was that why don't we pick NGOs? I was already implementing the watershed program, 30 plus NGOs, the best NGOs in Chittoor. C.S. Reddy Garu just left, even he was one of them in Chittoor district. So many NGOs were there, but we found one more gap. We felt that the head of the NGO, for example, C.S. Reddy or anyone else for that matter, he may be very idealistic, he may be very committed, he may have a very good understanding of the development sector, but the last man whom he recruits to work on the community, is he similar to C.S. Reddy or is he similar to the VAO whom we want to replace? And the answer which came was that he's not exactly like the VAO, but he's not very different from the VAO also. He also has a motorcycle. In watershed programs, NGOs used to run watersheds. Many community representatives used to tell me that ఈరోజు మా ఊరికి ఇద్దరు మోటార్సైకిల్ మీద వస్తారు, విఓ ఒకరు అండ్ ఎన్జిఓ తరఫున వచ్చే వ్యక్తి ఒకరు. సో we decided that that also will not work, and then we decided that we will recruit our own team. We will not rely on government, we will not rely on NGOs, we will recruit the best talent available from the open market. But one thing I must tell you, so in the district where I work, Chittoor district, we recruited about 120 odd people. We called them community coordinators. Maybe they're still there or they have moved on. I mean, new set of people would have come, but this position of community coordinator, we selected them through a very rigorous process. Of course, I should comment that a majority of them, 80 to 90% of them, came from the existing NGOs. The best of those NGOs were taken by us. But the first thing which they decided, so I'll ask one more question. ఇందాక నేను ఒకటి అడిగాను, ఈ నిరుపేదల దృష్టిలో ప్రభుత్వం అంటే ఏంటి, ప్రభుత్వం మీద వాళ్ళ అభిప్రాయం ఏముంది. నేను ఇంకొకటి ప్రశ్న కూడా అడుగుతున్నాను, అంటే వాళ్ళ మనసులో ఏం నడుస్తూ ఉంటుంది 24 గంటలు. What do they think about? A poorest of the poor person, what is he thinking of throughout the day, throughout the night? Is he interested to know some IPL match is going on, what is the score, is Hyderabad winning or losing, or Salman Khan's movie has come, how is the collections? Is the poorest of the poor thinking of these things? I mean, he won't even know that there is something called IPL. He may not know that there is someone called Salman Khan. So what is he thinking of all the time?
How to get your next meal?
How do you get your next meal? How do you survive? And most of the poorest of the poor, they have a heavy burden of debt, which also keeps them awake all throughout. Most of the time the debt is from some sahukar, some money lender, పట్టి వ్యాపారం దగ్గర నుంచి అప్పు తీసుకుని ఉంటారు. అండ్ ఆ వ్యక్తి నిమిషానికి ఒత్తిడి పెడుతూ ఉంటారు, వెంటనే కట్టాలి, కట్టకపోతే మీ ఇంట్లో ఉన్న ఆవుని నేను లాగేస్తాను, ఇంకొకటి చేస్తాను. సో ఆ భయం కూడా నిరంతరంగా వాళ్ళ మనసులో నడుస్తూ ఉంటుంది. So imagine I have to talk to such person, I have to help him come out of poverty, I have to do it in a sustainable way. This program was not to just throw some money at them and leave. That is very easy thing to do. But the idea was to make them capable of what is happening today. The 20,000 crores is given to them. It would not have happened if I just threw money at them and hope that they will develop some vision and they will become great people. So how do you capture the mind space of such people? So the coordinators, after we recruited them, we told them that just spend some time in the villages where the poorest of the poor live and see what goes on in their mind and how can we get a part of that mind space. So our coordinators spent some 20-30 days in the villages and then we called them to Chittoor for a brainstorming session. And unanimously, every one of them told us that unless we live with them physically where they are, we just will not be able to do it. They will just see us like any other VAO or any other NGO field representative who is coming on his motorcycle and going away. We will not stand out as someone who means business with them. We are serious about their well-being. So our coordinators stayed with the poorest of the poor for months altogether, for almost one year, 9 months, 10 months. And then they could convert their thinking into more, see what needs to be converted in their minds is, I don't know about your experience, but the community of poorest of the poor with whom we worked, one very predominantly strong thought in their minds was that we are poor only for one reason, and that reason is God. దేవుడు వలన మేమందరూ ఈరోజు ఈ పరిస్థితి, and that's a very strong feeling. So, but it is a very negative feeling. I mean, if you think that everything is because of God, then there is the scope for change. So how do you remove all that feeling? And how do you tell to them that you are not poor because of God? God doesn't want anyone. Does God, if at all there is a God? I personally don't believe that there is one, but many of you I'm sure believe. I mean, she believes because she has removed her hair, I presume. So I don't want to offend her. So let us say there is a God. God obviously won't want anyone to remain poor or unhappy or anything. But if I am strongly believing it for generations altogether, it's a very tough challenge for me. The right answer is that poor are poor because of the rich. But if they believe that poor are poor because of God, then it's a very difficult battle. So staying with the poorest of the poor helped us gain that sense of control over their thinking, create a vision, and then groups were created, bank linkages and this and that. And today, I don't have new data, but I'm very happy to learn that 20,000 crores is available to the poorest of the poor. In fact, in those days, when we would do this social mobilization, we would carry some simple maths. It's a simple thing to ask you also. So I'm talking about 20 years ago. This project in which I was involved was started 20 plus years ago. So after the poor realized that there is a possibility to work hard, to make some sacrifices, to come out of poverty, to become a non-poor, we would pose a simple question before them. The question we would pose was that how much money will you need to come out of poverty? So what would the answer be? అంటే పేదరికం నుంచి బయట రావడానికి నీకు ఎంత డబ్బు అవసరం ఉంటుంది? చెప్పండి, ఎంత అవసరం ఉంటుంది? 10,000 will someone.
They can't answer. They can't give the answer.
No, but there is a maths behind the answer. It's not a complicated, it's not a imaginary answer. So what we would do was that, see, ప్రతి గ్రామంలో, నేను పనిచేస్తున్న గ్రామంలో నిరుపేదలు ఖచ్చితంగా ఉంటారు, బట్ ఉన్న వాళ్ళు కూడా ఉంటారు, జమీందారులు కూడా ఉంటారు, చాలా గొప్ప వ్యక్తులు కూడా ఉంటారు. So what we would tell them that look at these non-poor. Of course, I'm not asking you to compare yourself with a zamindar. Zamindar is at a different level. Hopefully you will go there someday, but my immediate priority is to help you become like a non-poor. What is that non-poor having that you are not having? I'm talking about Chittoor district, drought-prone area villages. The non-poor people may have 2 acres of land, they may have 4 cows, they may have 3 goats, they may have a simple cycle in their home, they may have some bed, they may have a gas cylinder, they may have a house made of, at least the walls will be made of bricks, but the poorest of the poorest house will be made of totally thatch and leaves and straw and all that. So if I have to have all those things, how much does it cost? So there is a maths behind it. So I am landless, but if I have to buy 2 acres of land, it will cost X rupees. To build a house of which 4 walls are made of brick will cost this rupees. 4 cows will cost this rupees. A bed, not a kind of bed that we use in our homes, but at least a bed which is used in the villages will cost this rupees. So in those days, numbers would change, but the principle remains the same. So it would cost 80,000 rupees to get all these things. So this is of course in a rural Andhra Pradesh remote district 25 years ago, but principle is the same. So our next question would be that you need 80,000 rupees to come out of poverty. How much will you get? మీకు 80,000 అవసరం ఉంది కానీ నిజంగా మీరు ఎంత సమకూర్చుకోగలరు? So what would the answer be? So they would tell us that I require 80,000, I have seen your maths, but I will not be able to get even 80 rupees. 80,000 అవసరం ఉంది, but 80 రూపాయలు కూడా సమకూర్చుకోవడం నాకు కష్టం. And then we would guide that 80,000 is possible, but it will not happen overnight. It's not some lottery that you are getting or some magic which is happening. You'll have to work, you'll have to sacrifice. Basically the expression that we would, the concept that we would tell them was that you can get 80,000, not just 80,000, you can get 80 lakhs also, but there is only one reason why you can't get anything more than 80 rupees, and the reason is that you don't have namakam. And me mida namakam, not you don't have namakam, but you I mean, I don't know how to explain in English. Me paina ఇచ్చే వాళ్ళకి మీ పైన నమ్మకం ఉంటుంది. మీకు 80,000 ఇచ్చే వాళ్ళు కూడా ఉన్నారు, బట్ 80 రూపాయల కంటే మించి ఇవ్వడానికి వాళ్ళకి సందేహం ఉంది. ఆయన తిరిగి ఇవ్వగలుగుతారా, జాగ్రత్తగా వాడుకోగలుగుతారా? సో 80 రూపాయల తర్వాత మీకు 1 రూపాయి కూడా ఇవ్వరు. మేము ఒత్తిడి పెట్టితే 80 రూపాయలు సంతృప్తి కోసం మీకు ఇస్తారు, తర్వాత 1 రూపాయి కూడా ఇవ్వరు. సో నమ్మకం ఎట్లా పొందాలి? సో దట్ వాజ్ వాట్ వీ వుడ్ టెల్ అట్ ద ఎండ్ ఆఫ్ ఇట్. దిస్ హోల్ పవర్టీ బిజినెస్ ఇస్ అ గేమ్ ఆఫ్ నమ్మకం. మీ మీద ఏ రోజు నమ్మకం వస్తుందో మీకు లక్షాది వస్తాయి. ఎప్పటి వరకు మీరు నమ్మకం పొందలేరు, మీరు ఇట్లే తిరుగుతూ ఉంటారు. తరాలుగా మీరు పేదరికంలోనే ఉండిపోతారు. సో I mean, I'm sorry I said so many things. I thought I'll give a 2-minute speech and go, but she kind of brought surf and all that, so I could not stop myself. So, but the point which I was trying to tell was that today 20,000 crore rupees is coming because of the foundational work we did 20 years ago. And it was done in this manner, through a very immersive approach. And I'm invited frequently to speak about all these contexts. Now I of course speak more on innovation, entrepreneurship, technology, but occasionally I'm asked to speak on these topics also. This is called social mobilization. And I tell that there is no substitute for it. You can give all kinds of things, but unless you have done social mobilization to create those receiving mechanisms, whatever you give from the top is like throwing water in a bottomless well kind of thing. So as NGOs who are committed, who are doing good for the society, please bring this discipline and rigor of doing very intensive social mobilization. Government can't do it because they think of government as thieves and all. So thieves can't do this kind of thing. You can do it because you have a better rapport with the community, but don't short circuit this process. Don't start throwing money or so. Some of you may not know this, but I'm literally coming straight from Africa. I was in Africa for the last 5 days. I was in Ethiopia and Rwanda. Africa, as you know, is the place everyone feels very kind of concerned about, charitable about. I was in Rwanda. I mean, every street that you drive, you will see the sideboards, the boards, the offices, the headquarters of every aid agency in the world possible. But I was talking to some people who had hosted me there, and they told me that they just come and throw money. So this is not going to work. I mean, of course, I was not called to Africa to discuss their aid issues and charity issues. I went there to speak on an AI conference. But because of my interest in social development, I spent some time to understand what is happening in Africa, what is the answer. So this is what they do. They're just throwing money. And if you continue to do that here also, sustainable development may not happen. Some people may take your money, they may enjoy it for some time, but nothing substantially will change. So invest in social mobilization, invest in this kind of community building, and thereafter you will see that. So when we started Melgu, we never imagined that a day will come when 20,000 crores will be available. We felt at that time that if we are able to give 80,000 rupees to every family, our job is done. But today this number, if we actually do the math, it is at least 3-4 times more than what we would have imagined. So amazing things can happen, and it also brings in lots of social empowerment. It's not money alone. The social dignity. I worked in some of the habitations. Many of you may not know this, but we think about Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, etc. But the more severe forms of feudalism is found in Rayalaseema. I've worked in 3 of the 4 Rayalaseema districts. I've seen it before my eyes. A poorest of the poor, if a zamindar calls him, he cannot even walk straight to him. He has to always walk. Today, if you go to the same villages, if the zamindar calls a poorest of the poor, they will not walk straight. The way you and I walk. We don't walk like this. Even when my chief secretary calls me or CM calls me, I don't walk like this. I walk like some normal kind of person. But in Rayalaseema, in Chittoor, in Kadapa, in Kurnool, if a zamindar calls you, you have to go like this. There's no question of even looking into his eyes. All this has changed in the Velugu villages. Poorest of the poor talk to even a zamindar by looking in their eyes. So there's lots of social empowerment also. I mean, no amount of money can change your business. These are changes which are unbelievable. For maybe hundreds of generations, they would have behaved like this before the zamindar. It all went away. So this is what I want to tell, that please invest in, please recruit committed people. I found it very easy to recruit 120 people. There are hundreds of such people. Invest in them, motivate them, nurture them, lead by example. Many people used to ask me that మీ కోఆర్డినేటర్స్ అందరూ విలేజెస్ లో ఉంటారు, మీ పని ఏమవుతుంది, మీరు ఏ విలేజ్ లో ఉంటారు, మీరు ఏం చేస్తారు. So I used to tell them that I don't live in a village, I live in Chittoor. But my job is to ensure that these 120 people remain inspired all the time. If I am able to do that, then those 120 people will do that. So that inspiration will not come by lecturing and all that. They will see it in you. So be that role model which your field staff imbibe. And then this state and other communities in our country, they will all be benefited by the collective which the social development organization, the CSOs, the NGOs make. So once again, I'm very appreciative of the fact that Crowdera has created this kind of a platform. Thank you very much for inviting me, and good wishes to all of you.